to you.
Margo?
Hey, Margo.
Everybody.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Wow.
This is J.D. Vance's first time to step into the Oval Office.
Wow.
It's incredible.
This is incredible.
For the Senate, the certificate of appointment to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of former Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Marco Rubio of Florida. If the senators designate will now present themselves at the desk, the chair will administer the oath of office. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
This afternoon, NBC 10 saw multiple unmarked SUVs here. 5 people, some wearing vests that said police federal agents on the back, went inside one of the apartment buildings. 2 agents waited outside, 1 person taken into custody that we saw. Whether this is connected to President Trump's effort to root out illegal immigrants, something he has promised to do, is unknown. We also saw federal agents at a building on Lexington Street.
The initial immigration raids have already arrested and removed some of the most vicious criminals in this country, including child pornography cases, homicide cases, sexual assault, attacks on children. And this is just the very beginning in the effort to liberate this country from the migrant criminal threat. In the coming days, you're going to see a massive scale up in enforcement activities all across the country to dismantle these criminal networks. And not only is it going to be ICE engaging these raids, but also they're going to have support from their law enforcement partners in FBI, ATF, DEA, and U.S. Marshals. We're going to leverage the full power of federal law enforcement at President Trump's command and direction to save this country from this occupation. You're also going to see, as you mentioned, the Department of Justice pursuing civil and, if necessary, criminal charges against anybody who shelters or harbors criminal aliens. That includes individuals in sanctuary cities who are harboring violent and dangerous criminals from federal law enforcement. The tables have turned, and now those who protect criminal aliens are going to face the legal consequences that exist in statute. And at the border, as you've mentioned, the military is en route. They are mobilizing active duty, National Guard, as well as a massive effort to engage in military construction along the southern border to impede and deny the entry of illegal aliens and to send anyone who crosses home, or if they've engaged in criminal activity, they also may face significant criminal prosecution. So every instrument, every lever of federal power is being deployed to crush the cartels, dismantle the gangs, seal off the border, halt the invasion, and send the illegals home.
Vilify, demonize, but also criminalize as immigrants.
It's shameful that my colleagues are giving in to racist fear-mongering at the first opportunity to pass legislation to scapegoat our immigrant neighbors and fuel hate in our communities. I urge our colleagues to please vote no on this divisive bill.
Trump was ready to share the contents of the letter. We heard him last night describe it as inspirational. And that is, we can confirm the president's assessment all right. Dear President Trump, as I take leave of this sacred office, I wish you and your family all the best in the next 4 years. The American people and people around the world look to this House for steadiness in the inevitable storms of history. And my prayer is that in the coming years will be a time of prosperity, peace, and grace for our nation. May God bless you and guide you as he has blessed and guided our beloved country since our founding. Joe Biden, 1/2025. And that is it.
You're fired.
Gregory, how does it feel to be out of jail?
It is the most amazing feeling. I can't describe it. When I took my first breath of fresh air, it was as if I felt like I was a kid again.
Tonight, Greg Purdy walked out of the D.C. jail hugged by his supporters. A federal jury found him guilty of several felony offenses, including 3 counts of civil disorder, 2 counts of assaulting officers during the January 6 insurrection at the Capitol. President Trump signed the executive order pardoning Purdy and the roughly 1,600 people charged in the January 6 riot. The executive order also commuted the sentences of or ordered the dismissal of the cases. In a written statement tonight, the D.C. Police Union saying in part, quote, the D.C. Police Union wishes to express its dismay over the recent pardons granted to individuals convicted of assaulting police officers, end quote.
We're outside the D.C. gulag right now, and they're literally giving people parking tickets out here that are out here supporting our political prisoners. Look at this.
Parking solutions on the rear side of this building. There is an open parking lot.
Yeah.
That's where I actually park my vehicle today because the parking is a little difficult at the moment. How you want
Well,
Hi. I mean, can you all give us a break today?
I cannot, unfortunately. I've been instructed by a higher power to come out to.
You tell Mayor Bowser to take her power, and you know what she can do with it.
Absolutely outrageous act by President Trump. He is pardoning people who assaulted police officers.
The January 6 pardons are an abomination. And then here's an interesting one. President Trump is the only president in the history of the United States that vetoed a defense bill. He vetoed the defense bill in 2020. Why? He didn't like taking Confederate names off military bases. He said it was a rewriting of history. One of his first actions yesterday, he ordered the portrait of General Milley removed from the wall of portraits of heads of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I guess he's okay with rewriting history.
Oi, boy. Ha, like my mother-in-law, isn't it?
You're fired.
That, you know, they call it the Biden crime family. If they weren't the crime family, why do they need pardons, right? Look, there's a lot of attention that's going to be paid to this, and I think that is appropriate, and we will be looking at it as well. So, yeah.
Some of his other actions, weakening California water and air quality standards, drill, baby, drill, this idea that we are going to just do more oil drilling, the attacks on the incentives for electric cars. That's not going to reduce prices either. It's just going to mean we have dirtier air, we have more terrible fires, more flooding.
Mr. President, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
We had a conversation, and maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but I will. And it was after the 2020 election. And you asked me a question, and we've known each other for 30 years, so we have a friendship and we have a professional relationship. And the question you asked me, maybe in the end it will be better that if I came back in 4 years. And we talked about history. After World War II, Winston Churchill was thrown out, but they brought him back. Grover Cleveland is the only other American president that did not serve consecutive terms. And my answer to you was, I thought it would be bigger if you came back.
It's turning out to be bigger. And I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring.
No.
They don't want to see men in women's sports in other ways. And they don't want to see men. They don't want to have transgender for everyone. They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl. A parent doesn't want to see that. And there are states where that can happen.
Oh.
They don't want to see taxes go through the roof. Like, this is the only group of people they want to raise your taxes. They say, we want to raise your taxes. You know, if they don't work with us on the Trump tax cuts extending, that would mean we go back to the taxes. We got the largest tax cut in history. That would mean the taxes would go up more than any tax hike in the history of our country.
We now know 14 million. We don't know how many gotaways. We don't know the total number. But we have known terrorists in our country.
Mm-hmm.
We have known murderers, rapists. We have violent criminals, cartel members, gang members. Now, I would imagine if you came from Iran and Syria and Egypt and Afghanistan and Russia and China and Venezuela, you didn't come here because you want a better life for your children. I would imagine those known terrorists are planning an attack on our homeland. At a moment's notice, you're going to be in this desk, maybe sitting at this desk, or maybe up in the residence, and they're going to call you down in the Situation Room because our homeland is under attack. I would like to be wrong, but when you have known terrorists, you have to believe that they are going to attack our homeland. Mm-hmm. That would change their trajectory, that moment of your entire presidency. That has to weigh on you.
Yeah, it could be. And I know I've watched you for a lot of years, and you actually make one statement before you say that. You say 100% certain.
I do.
That's a pretty big statement.
And then I say, I pray to God I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong too. And I won't comment, but I tend to agree with you. It depends. We'll see what happens. Look, we have a lot of great people right now, a lot of great people on the situation. This was a gross miscarriage of common sense to allow people to come in. And I believe the number is 21 million people, and a large percentage of them are criminals. All over the world. This is not just South America. This isn't, we talk Venezuela, that's a big abuser, but these are countries from the Congo, countries that you don't even think of. The Congo has emptied their prisons out into the United States. We're not thinking about the Congo, we're thinking about South America. It's much more than South America. But prisons from all over the world have been emptied out into our country by Biden, allowing it to happen. I don't even know if he knew what the hell was going on, but why would anybody that even likes, you don't have to love our country, you have to like it. Why would anybody that likes our country, the Democrats, allow that to happen? And even now, I watch them on television, they're trying to justify it. You can't justify it. The only reason it can be is two reasons. You're stupid, and I don't think they're stupid. I think anybody that cheats that much and that well is not stupid. You're either stupid or you hate the country. Those are the only two reasons. Yeah. Sean, who would ask for open borders with people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble, could be trouble. There are people coming in.
There are people with gang tattoos on.
There are people coming in with tattoos all over their face. Their entire face is covered with tattoos. Typically, you know he's not going to be the head of the local bank. Remember this, Joe Biden got very bad advice because, like he has in everything, he got bad advice on Ukraine. He got bad advice that war should have never started. He got bad advice on Israel. He got bad advice on the way he got out of Afghanistan. We should have gotten out with strength and dignity, not like a bunch of losers. Joe Biden has very bad advisors. Somebody advised Joe Biden to give pardons to everybody but him. They wanted to take care of him. Yeah, but Sean, they wanted to, I don't care. This is more important because right now the economy is going to do great. I'm here, so but you have to understand, he had bad advisors on almost everything. It's like in the old days when the Secretary of State said he never made a correct decision on foreign policy. Joe Biden got very bad advice.
You've been through two would-be assassins. You came within a millimeter of losing your life in this whole process. I know you kind of are somebody that compartmentalizes because I've known you so long, but do you ever think, and you said this in your inaugural, that you really believe God saved your life so that this was your destiny? Explain that.
Well, I do believe that. I've had people that really know a lot about guns, and they said that particular gun, in that beautiful field, as I called it in Pennsylvania, which it is, Butler, that gun's a very accurate gun, and that a bad shooter would hit the target 100% of the time.
You can't miss.
Okay, from that distance. Yeah, from that distance. I mean, to me, I don't know as much about it. They said it's like for a golfer sinking a 1-foot putt from that distance. And my son Don and my son, both of them, Eric, they're great shooters. Both of them were great shooters. And they said it's amazing, it's a miracle. I think it affected them because they can't believe that happened. I turned. If I didn't turn, when the turn was like split-second perfect timing. So something happened, and I don't think you can call it just luck. The chance was like 1/8 of a second, or we wouldn't be sitting here. And think of it, in a volume of time, 1/8 of a second, I was in the right position.
Do you believe that moment, people say to me, they see a change in you. Do you believe you've changed? Is this, for example, increased your faith in God?
Yes, I think so. I don't think I've changed, but I think that has taken place, yeah. Because when you look at statistically, I should never be here. I mean, if I don't turn my, I'm looking at an immigration chart, my favorite chart ever in history. Yeah. Even if the numbers were bad, I would.
I mean, we're talking about assassination, and you tell jokes.
No,
it's terrible.
No,
I remember that day. Like
when I turned, and it had to be at an exactly 90-degree angle, and I said, throw down the chart or something to that effect. And they bring the chart, and I'm literally looking exactly at the right angle. I couldn't have even been a little further or a little bit less. It would have whacked. Because it was 1/8 of an inch. The entire ride was 1/8 of an inch.
Will you investigate these assassination attempts? And you stated that you will release the files, all of the files, as it relates to the JFK assassination. And by the way, this is his desk.
Yeah, that's right.
This is where John Kennedy, little
That's
John
a
Kennedy.
movable door.
Yeah.
It's a little door there. That's where John was.
John, yeah. And RFK, and also Martin Luther King Jr., and that you will be transparent. This was going to happen in the first.
So many people have asked me to do that, and I did it with Kennedy to an extent, but I was asked by some of our government officials not to, and you have to respect them. I was actually asked by Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, not to, and I felt he knew something that maybe when he asks you not to, you sort of say why, and he felt that it was just not a good time to release him. And you might ask him why. Maybe he'll deny that even. But he did. He asked me. And some others also, though. They didn't want the Kennedy stuff released. And they're professionals, and I respect them. And they're working for me and the country. They're working for the country. And so I didn't release. But I'm going to release them immediately upon getting. We're going to see the information. We're looking at it right now.
The first data centers are actually under construction in Texas already, and we'll be turning them over to Sam to start training their next model. The data center we already built, it was the largest computer ever built. The data center we're building will surpass it and be the largest computer ever built, which enables this AI, which will allow personalized medicine. This is going to touch all of us. Yes, it takes a huge investment, but the result of the investment will be vaccines that prevent cancers, personalized medicine, where we never again run into a problem like COVID-19 before, because we get an early warning. We know when COVID starts, when there are a handful of patients, rather than having to wait until it's become an epidemic and very difficult to control. This is a very large investment that affects all of humanity.
I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people and always had a very good relationship with President Putin. And this, despite the radical left's Russia. We must never forget that Russia helped us win the Second World War, losing almost 60,000 lives in the process. All of that being said, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. Settle now and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. If we don't make a deal, and soon I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States and various other participating countries. Let's get this war, which never would have started if I were president, over with. We can do it the easy way or the hard way, and the easy way is always better. It's time to make a deal. No more lives should be lost.
Jeff Bezos runs the Washington Post, owns it, and owns Amazon, of course. And I will tell you, this is not my first time saying she dresses like a hooker, because she does. And we called out, we had to deal with some Hollywood PR firm. I can't remember who we were trying to get, but we tried to avoid those people, but sometimes you can't. And this PR agent went off on our booker. They're so angry because they represent her or they do some business with her, and she had, talked to them, whatever. It's like those two don't like to be made fun of. Yep. He's done a lot to change his look. He looks nothing like he looked 20 years ago. I don't think she's seen a doctor. She doesn't want to go under the scalp. I mean, you tell me. That's not natural. No. And that's fine if that's your choice, but have some dignity and some respect for your setting in your circumstances. No one should be talking about your tits. Sorry. They should be talking about the inauguration.